Do you consider your boyfriend going to a strip club wrong or right?
Wrong.
Wrong.
I had to Google this.
Women don't tend to be that great with other women, and this is something that women experience in their friendship.
The first time I had a friendship betrayal, I said I would never let this happen again to me. And it happened again and again.
So while he would message me, "Good night, I'm off to sleep because I have work tomorrow," he'd be on Snapchat messaging, "Are you awake?" to other girls.
I was willing to move countries for this guy. And this guy wasn't even sure he can move cities.
Serial cheaters tend to get smarter and smarter and smarter, but they all have the same thing. Like, they just constantly lie and constantly manipulate.
Welcome to the She Word, conversations women rarely have but really should. I'm Sasha, your host for the Young Women's Edition, and today we're talking about betrayal. It's one of those words that hits deep because it usually comes from someone we never expected it from, a best friend, a partner, sometimes even ourselves. As young women, we're often taught to forgive, to keep the peace, to make it work, but not always how to spot red flags, honor our boundaries, and walk away when trust is broken. Today's conversation is about what betrayal feels like and the lessons we take from it as we navigate womanhood. We're talking about real experiences, heartbreak, disillusionment, anger, grief, clarity, and ultimately power. And joining me today are three brilliant young women. We've got Sarah Alfalah, a 25-year-old influencer boasting a massive following on social media, working in social media and also as a marketing strategist and returning to the She Word for the second time round. We've also got Mya Azzopardi, a 22-year-old national swimmer from Malta who also competes professionally in California for a Division I university, where she also serves as a team captain. She studies psychology with a business minor and enjoys travel, social media, and maintaining a healthy lifestyle. And finally, my literal best friend, we have Sarah Magri. Sarah is a 26-year-old accountant and ACCA student from Malta. She's a passionate performer, a qualified ballerina, pole dancer, and singer. So ladies, welcome all to the show. I'm so happy to have you here today. So before we dive into our conversation, I want to give you all the chance to introduce yourselves. Sarah, you want to start us off since it's your first time here?
Hi, I'm Sarah. I am 25 and I have a passion for social media and marketing.
Short and sweet. Maya?
Like me.
Okay, I'm Maya. It's my first time on here, so thank you for having me. So I'm a professional swimmer, but I'm currently training in the United States. I swim for a Division I school, and it's in California, and I'm loving life. And on the side, I also dabble in social media, and I'm also currently studying psychology with hopes of becoming a clinical psychologist.
Wow, amazing.
Ooh.
Sarah?
I'm Sarah. I'm 26 years old. I'm an accountant, as you said in the intro. I love the arts. I love dancing. I'm a ballerina and also a ballet teacher. Thank you for having me. And yeah, I'm excited to get into this topic.
I want to start us off with some statistics because I think betrayal is one of the things that everyone goes through, but it's probably not normalized as a conversation, and that's literally what we do here, right? So just a little bit of context. Studies show that betrayal trauma, especially in close relationships, can lead to emotional dysregulation, anxiety, and difficulty in trusting again. 1 in 2 young women report feeling betrayed by a close friend or partner by their early 20s. Despite this, most say that they feel like they couldn't talk openly about it or were told to move on or that they're making a big deal. So let's begin with something simple but powerful. What comes to mind when you hear the word betrayal? And do you remember the first time that you really felt it?
Well, now, because I have the knowledge I have and the experiences I've gone through, it's me putting myself in a situation where I allowed myself to get to that point. Not to put the blame entirely on ourselves, but I think we do have to take accountability on like what we go through. And we do ignore certain signs and those little moments where we're like, that wasn't right, but like we keep going on in that friendship or in that relationship. So I think accountability comes to mind, and also obviously, I mean, betrayal is a big word. So like I feel
You're betraying
sad.
your instincts.
Exactly. Like I feel sad thinking about like betrayal because obviously bad experiences come to mind. But also a sense of enlightenment because from those experiences we've grown. So yeah.
Like along the lines of what she said, I feel like one of the biggest thing is like when we first say the word betrayal or hear it, it's like such like a negative word, right? But I feel like there's so much positive that also comes out of it because like I feel like had I not gone through some experience of betrayal, I wouldn't be as like emotionally mature as I am today or aware of how there's some good things and bad things in a relationship which now I can notice, which probably before I wasn't able to notice. So I think it's also like a very good thing that I feel like everyone has to go through, whether it's necessarily a pleasant thing to be in the actual moment, but I feel like it helps a person grow immensely. So I feel like it can be a very positive thing as much as it's being a negative thing.
Yeah, so you're skipping straight to the silver lining, but when you're actually going through betrayal, it's not nice at
I
all.
know.
It can shatter your world,
Sure.
and it can literally change your life.
Rewire your brain.
Yeah. So was there ever an instance in your life where you feel that this one act of betrayal literally shattered the world around you?
I do feel like that has happened recently to me. And, you know, we did skip to the silver lining, but the negative part of it is like, yes, obviously I was highly stressed. Anxiety was high. I started experiencing chest pains, which is really weird. I thought it was like, oh my
Wow.
God, I'm getting a heart attack. But no. My sister, who by the way is a clinical psychologist, was like, that's anxiety. I was like, oh, makes sense because of what I'm going through right now. So yes, it does derail your life a bit. Obviously, I have gained enough emotional awareness to kind of ground myself, but like we're human, you know? So in those moments, I'm just thinking about the bad thing that happened and how it made me feel and how it affected my life and the way I go about my daily routine. And yes, it did really screw with me.
Is there like one kind of betrayal in your life that you want to
Okay.
kind of refer to that really changed your life?
I think the first betrayal, like in general, kind of like pushes you into reality because growing up, like from childhood and all that stuff, you kind of have this image of friends being loyal, they will never betray you, they're like there forever. And also you see your parents, friends, and all that stuff. You're like, Lalo, this friend is going to remain throughout all my lifehood. And that rarely is ever the case. So I feel like that first initial betrayal really shakes you into reality, and that not everyone has the same values as you, perspectives as you, and also the same heart as you.
Definitely. I think friends, that's a big one. I think as in besides relationships, because really, I mean, we go through relationships throughout our whole lives, like romantic ones. But friends, it's something like the first time I had a friendship betrayal, I said I would never let this happen again to me. And it happened again and again. So clearly there's more to learn. I would never consider myself like a fully healed person because I don't think you ever get to that stage because you're always getting thrown like more trauma and whatever. So what's good is that Maya, you said something before, like you fine tune your radar, like it makes you prepared to like tackle situations which, you know, the old you wouldn't have realized. But, you know, going forward, I hope that with 3 betrayals under my belt, I would be more like ready to notice the signs, you know? So that's a big one.
So what did you go through with those betrayals?
Mainly it was mainly stemming from insecurity from a friend, you know, a female friend. And I noticed there was always a pattern, you know, like those, it starts off very small, like a glance that you catch them glancing at
And
you.
you almost ignore it, right? In the beginning.
Exactly, you ignore it because you're like, no, that's my bestie.
First, they start off very like supportive.
Exactly.
I love your makeup. Oh my God, I love your hair. I love
Exactly.
this. I love that.
Like, or else the interrogations, you know, like like you said, like complimenting, but then the compliment turns into like an interrogation, like where did you get it? But how did you manage to get that? And like, who gave you that? And like, you know, the constant questions, you catch them glancing at you a certain way. You feel a bit abandoned when you go out with them. Like they just kind of they just leave your side for like a random guy they just met.
Oh
And
my gosh.
like it's
Yeah.
it's these little things, and they just start adding up.
Fighting for attention. Like when you
Yes.
get, like, when I walk into a room, I know that like certain people know me already and all that stuff. When I had these insecure friends, I would know that one, they're leeching on me to introduce them to people. But once I introduce them, they're always trying to shade me. Like, for example, I don't know, this guy is talking to me and this girl all of a sudden goes like, why are you being so loud? You know? And
It's
I'm
these
just
like micro moments where you realize that these people are not actually your friends.
Exact.
And as much as so this podcast has recently gotten a reputation for being like hateful towards men. We're not. And by also it's really important to mention that unfortunately women don't tend to be that great with other women. And this is something that women experience in their friendships. So I have never met one woman who hasn't been fucked over by a female friend. So we have to say it all, right?
I
Yes.
sometimes prefer having guy friends rather than girlfriends because I just feel safer around them. It's like I've had like two probably big betrayals by friends who are girls, but I feel like it's the little ones along the way which had to make me distance myself from the people. Like it didn't have to, like nothing big had to happen. It was just like small little instances where I was like, for example, jealousy is a big thing for me. As in, like, I think a good friend of yours, if they're jealous of you and they don't wish you to be your best, or like taking photos, oh my gosh, I hate it when one of my good friends is just like, oh my gosh, you take so many photos, or I have to take so many photos. I'm like, my girl, like, why is this like a problem? Like, if you, it's like something that makes me happy, makes me want to feel
Or
good.
taking
Like,
bad pictures on purpose.
like, right, it's like get the right angles, like make me look good, like, you know what I mean? Why would you want anything else other than that if you wish your friend well, and if you actually genuinely care about her and you want her to look good, feel good? It's like these small instances, or like jealousy, for example, in front of guys, or they'll try to belittle you like you talked about, or like make you look bad, or like say something which is just like something ugly or bad about
shrink
you,
you.
just to, like, yeah, to belittle you in front of other guys and just to make them feel better. It's like, it doesn't work like that. And it's just like, I feel like my genuine friends, my good friends nowadays are just like those who I genuinely trust behind my back, will have my back. And like, if I'm not in a room and someone mentions my name, they're like, they're, you know, like they're stopped and I'm defended. Not like those type of friends that just like behind my back, or like when I'm not in the room, just like go along with the herd, or I'm just like, oh yeah, just like to kind of agree with the laws. And I'm just like, that's not a real friend. And it's like, I've learned by the years, it's like, it's not worth it to just keep that type of person like around just to say, oh, I have like 10 friends. And when I need to go out, I'll have that one over there. Like, it's not worth it because it takes so much out of you and I just can't be my full self around them. And it's like, why should you do that at the cost of your like own
Ruins your
happiness?
energy.
And like, you can't be your true self. You have to kind of mold yourself into this person to be fine with the person they're giving you. It's like, for example, I kind of talked about it earlier on with you. It's like, I describe certain friendships I had and certain people I used to be friends with as special people, rather than just say like, oh, they were bitches, or like they're like bad people, just because like I try so hard to understand the person, because at the end of the day, like, I have my own perspectives of life and they have their own. And like, I also kind of study narrative therapy, which kind of like, it's like a psychological theory where it kind of like complements that idea of like, life is just all about perspectives. You know, something that may look bad in my eyes is not necessarily bad in their eyes. And it's like, it's all based on culture, how you're raised, and like the experience you've been through. They all shaped you as the person you are today. And so I always give people benefit of the doubt, even when, you know, they do me wrong. I'm just like, it's okay. She's just a special person who you have to kind of just be careful with, and like be sure not to mention something sensitive, because they're very sensitive. And like, these are the type of people who I'll be civil with and I'll be fine and I'll respect. I'm like, you are the special type of person who, yes, you have your own experiences and you have your own personality that distinguishes very well from the person I want to be surrounded by. But it's to a point where I won't judge you and I would respect you, but it's to a point where I know I don't want to be surrounded by you and I want to distance myself from a person like that, because it's these special people that you surround yourself by that make you have to mold your personality and not be able to be your fully self around. And I feel that's one of the best, like the most important things I've learned along the years. They take so much energy out of you. It's like when you go out for a coffee with a girl or with your friend, you should feel like you're going to like the spa. You know what I mean? You should feel so comfortable and so happy. You're just
Not
like, okay,
tense.
this is not going to be so energy consuming for me, because I'm going to sit down, have a flowing conversation, not have to, I don't know, not say certain things, or
Exactly,
just
'cause
be
you're
careful
scared
of
of
what I
going to tell
say,
others.
not think twice before I say something. Like these are just like tiring friendships, which I don't see any point in kind of maintaining. And that's like why I've just like learned along the years and like along the betrayals I've had to kind of just like, those are friendships I don't necessarily want at this stage of my life. We have enough busy and chaotic things going on in our lives, with relationships with our family, boyfriends, and our friends should be like our safe space. You know what I mean? It's like it's this idea of fantasize on social media of like having those 1-2 girlfriends that like you feel home. And like even me, like I mean I travel a lot, so I make a lot of friends along the way. I make a lot of friends along the way, and like people tell me like, "Oh my gosh, you must meet so many people." But I'm like, yeah, but like it's so hard because they are also from different cultures and they are raised differently to how I am. Like my experience in America is like they're all such wonderful people, all great, but like it is sometimes really hard for me to maintain
Make friends.
conversations or just like have like a really strong relationship, because
They wired fake initially.
I'm super like I'm a bubbly person, and sometimes I don't know. I'm a very direct person, very transparent person, and sometimes that's interpreted by them who are like maybe a bit different to like Maltese people as like, I don't know, rude or like too outspoken or just like attention seeking. And I'm like, I'm not like that. I was just born like this. It's my culture. We're very outspoken. We're very loud. For sure, loud Maltese people. So it's just like what I notice is like culture really does play a big important role as well in like friendships and yeah, these relationships. Like even with boyfriends, I can go on all day about how culture was a bit of a boundary between us, and it's something you can't unfortunately help. But at the end of the day, it is so much more energy consuming, especially at the beginning, to build these relationships and then maintain them. Like it takes a really versatile character and versatile personality to find a match of those relationships, I think, because especially when you're so grounded by your culture and so your personality is so shaped by your culture, it's very hard to kind of mold yourself or have to change yourself to fit someone else's personality, which was kind of brought up in a different culture. I found that was like one of the biggest kind of hardships for me, like when I've been moving around, like because first I was in Italy, which is a bit closer to us, so it was a bit easier, and then the UK was a bit more of a further step, and then the US was like a big step for me.
Like it's objective.
Oh,
like
it's so different.
Betrayal, because not everyone takes it the same way. I feel like that's the reason why personally I feel betrayal from females harder than from guys, because we're like, brought up to thinking that guys don't think the same way and all that stuff. So we kind of compensate with that. But a girl, that, the minor things, like let's say, for example, if we're close enough, you don't go for, that guy if I'm seeing him. Or if like, for example, if that girl did me so dirty, you don't speak to her in front of me. You'd like avoid, talking about me. Or another example, if you're in a room with her, because most of the time, as you were saying, it comes from early ages. If you're in the same class with them, why are you coming up to me constantly saying, oh, like, I don't know, Alexa said this about you and all that stuff. She feels comfortable saying those stuff about me.
That's
To
a
you.
very important one.
To you. That means that I learned this the hard way. I'm like, if she feels comfortable enough, that means you are spilling tea about me. Now, obviously, like 10 years after all these betrayals and stuff, I wired my brain into giving micro tests to people when I meet them, like as in females, because males are... Those are different tests, but for females, I have like these tests, these conversations that I have with them to see if our morals, values, and like perceptions align. And if they don't, I'm like, okay, so this is going to be like the outer circle association type of friend. And then gradually moving inwards. But I only have like 2 close friends that genuinely are in that circle, that know when I cry, when I do all those things. The rest, I learned the hard way how to keep them out. Because one thing that I had from like a very young age, I was always a people pleaser, like especially with friends. Like I would give them my clothes, my makeup, legit, even my lunch if I knew they had like struggles and all that. And also always giving. And that was like one of, I feel like the biggest betrayal was to this girl that I was constantly giving, constantly. And I was there during her breakup. This guy even had like tried with me as well. And I was like, listen, he, tried. But she was behind closed doors actually getting with the guy I was with at that time. So I'm like, I'm giving you everything. Like I'm being a genuine friend towards you, but no one's really your friend. And I am there for you in like your darkest moments, even when she had family problems and all that stuff. And then, she betrayed me. So I feel like personally for me, when it comes to betrayal, I feel like it is when someone crosses the boundaries of what you value and what you find like hurtful, and they still decide to cross that boundary with you.
Take care and enjoy good health. Browns, empowering wellness by providing convenient and innovative health services.
Periods are part of the game, but they don't have to throw you off your game. Try new Always Platinum for up to 100% leak protection, faster absorption, dry feel, and it's more cushiony, so you can focus on your game. It's a new Period, Always.
You've both just said like so much to unpack. You made a very important point before, and I think this took me a while to learn that not everyone is a friend. Not everyone needs to be called a friend. There are colleagues, there are acquaintances. Not everyone deserves to get the friend classification. And also what you were saying at some point about I related a lot to it because I've experienced it a lot. It's like you see the good in people and you focus on their potential or maybe on the good that they've shown you. And then when they start like showing you the red flags, it's a bit hard to kind of
Overlook.
Exactly.
I feel like
because
that's
it's
where you betray yourself, though.
Exactly. So that is a moment where you betray yourself because you are getting the signs, you are noticing them. They are like sending off kind of alarm bells in your head and you're saying like, is this behavior like behavior that I want in my life? But especially when there is a connection that you care about in the midst of all this, it's not just as easy as saying, okay, I'm leaving because I'm not being treated the way that I would like to be treated. There's going to be denial. There's probably also going to be a stage where you say like, maybe I should communicate it, maybe they would change. But more oftentimes than not, people are going to be the way that they've shown you that they are. They're not going to be any other way that you wish them to be.
In fact, I've learned to stop seeing, that was also a red flag of mine, constantly befriending people based on the potential I see in them, and failed miserably. But I genuinely do feel like now, years after, I learned how to stop being a people pleaser, loving myself prior, and loving myself enough that if someone ticks, in fact, I have it in my notes, 10 like to not to do lists for friendships. And if like this girl that I've met, like let's say for 3 months, does 5 major ones, I love myself enough to just like bye ghost. Not gonna conflict, not gonna argue about it. Because if someone has those embedded values in them, I mean, they're not values, but like if someone has those characteristic traits in them, you're not gonna change them. Even if you see the potential in them that they can be a greater person or whatever, they're not going to change.
Plus, sometimes they simply don't have either the emotional maturity or the capacity to understand where you're coming from. So you're just going to be wasting your words. Like, I think it's really important to like pick your battles, right? To kind of, so you have people who you will fight for, but then there are people who show you that even if you fight for them, you're just going to end up fighting against them because that's the way they are,
the confrontation isn't even worth your time because, as Sasha said, they won't have the emotional capacity to even understand or comprehend how they've hurt you. They will see it as an attack. But then having said that, sometimes you do need to like have a conversation or just say something, even if it's just an email or a text or a letter, just for closure for yourself.
Especially when they see your friendship as transactional.
Exactly. So that's a big one. Like, yes, understand that probably if they're so far gone that when you set a boundary with them, they took it as an attack. One, that means they never respected you. Because if you set a boundary with a friend and their reaction is just, you know, a fight, that's your clear sign that you are not their friend and they do not respect you.
You're the Raquel to their Barbie.
Exactly. So
betrayal in friendship can definitely feel worse than love sometimes, but betrayal in love can also literally like hurt like a bitch. So have you ever been cheated on,
Yes.
Earl?
Wait, let me say it.
She smiles.
What?
As he's smiling again.
it's a coping mechanism.
I'm like,
Oh gosh.
I'm over it. But yes. Which that also made me realize that I had a pattern because two of them, so I had 3 serious relationships. Two of them, one was very open about it, I might say, but I was very insecure. He also made me very insecure. So I feel like he was manipulating me and was also staying with him in one way or another. And also while I caught him cheating several times, he'd be like, because you're not sexually active with me. That's why. Or obviously, like, for example, we'd have, for example, I don't know, I'm barely chatting with him because I'd be at work and he'd be like, see, this is why I message other girls, because you're barely available.
Bruh.
Oh, I swear. I swear.
What the?
I swear.
Projecting.
Oh, wow. Wow.
But let's breathe that up and go to the next one. The other one, he didn't see me as, I guess, a sexual fantasy that he had. So while he would message me, good night, I'm off to sleep because I have work tomorrow, he'd be on Snapchat messaging, are you awake? To other girls. Yeah. Those things, like when you start maturing, you start realizing instantly in the next person. Like you start seeing the patterns. They all have the same patterns. And I feel like, you know, serial cheaters tend to get smarter and smarter and smarter, but they all have the same thing. Like they just constantly lie and constantly manipulate. So if you feel like a guy lies on the puniest thing for
Red
no
flag.
reason, when you're just like, imagine like you're just seeing this guy, like, nothing serious, you're just seeing him and he's lying on like what time he falls asleep, what time, you just know. Like you just know he did that to his ex, the one before and the one before.
Yeah.
Because why are you lying on small things when you don't even owe me the loyalty yet? So like that for me, like the principle of it is already bye ciao. 16-year-old me would have like eaten that guy up, but 25-year-old me is like, leave.
Learn the hard way.
Exit.
Do you consider your boyfriend going to a strip club wrong or right?
Wrong.
Wrong.
You know, I had to Google this.
In my head, and I might get dragged for this, but going to a strip club is not relationship behavior,
For sure not.
It's not.
right?
It's not.
No.
Because why are you
So-
seeking that elsewhere?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I even have issues with people watching porn when they're in a relationship.
Oh my gosh.
But that might be like too much for the internet. I'm not a conservative, okay?
No, neither am I. But
But what are you
No,
doing
I
watching
agree,
porn?
I
Like,
agree.
what are you doing watching porn?
Oh, I agree to a certain extent. As in, if I get hate for that, it's fine. But like
On what?
porn is already a bad.
can you make another episode for this? I'll come.
On porn?
Yes.
Yes.
I feel like the only
intend
bad
to.
thing with porn, not the only, like
It's
one
so
of the bad
hyper
things with
realistic.
porn
It's
is
not
I
hyper.
feel like
It's
the worst thing with porn is kind of giving men the wrong idea of sex. It's so like women are so sexualized in like videos of porn and they're like treated as if they're like objects so heavily. Like my only worry is like I don't want that being kind of reciprocated in my relationship. That was my only like kind of big thing. I'm like,
Just need to start sexualizing men the same way.
it's insane. It's just it leaves
They're
like
not
it leaves
insecure
an
enough
impact
about
on
these things.
guys. Yeah.
For a lot of guys, I mean, immature guys, for them, betrayal is only when they cross the line in the bedroom. It's not following, messaging, flirting, buying drinks, talking to colleagues on like group chats and all that stuff. It's when they actually do the sexual act.
And these
then-
are those micro moments, right? That
Exactly.
do contribute to betrayal in general.
Exactly. And
I
they are betrayed, because if I am uncomfortable with that, you should know. Like, for example, I'm going to say something. If you're comfortable blocking me after the relationship, then you were comfortable you could have unfollowed the girls that I told you, listen, this girl is saying that you're liking her pics, viewing her stories. Why is that? And then you're telling me, oh, liking a story isn't bad, blah, blah, blah. I feel like these are modern pattern of betrayals that we're not identifying as betrayals yet, because it's not beneficial for them.
Mhm.
Because we don't go liking, I don't know, if a guy had to post, I don't know, driving a boat, I'm not going to be like, wow, let me like this. I'm not. And especially if I'm with someone, and I feel like a lot of guys do this, they go on girls' story and they like their story, because you will not see the like on their story, but they will not.
Exactly.
And for me, that's betrayal.
And I get very uncomfortable. Sometimes men who are in a relationship like my story.
Yes.
They would never like my post, but they like my
Isn't-
story. And I get so uncomfortable. I'm like, I know you're in a relationship.
I know.
Why are you liking my story? And okay, if it's a story of me talking about a social issue, whatever,
when
like
they're
that's
not
okay.
following
But if
you.
it's a photo of me or me at the beach and you like that story, I'm gonna be, it just looks like questionable behavior on your behalf, right?
Cheating behavior.
So do you another question. So just a curiosity, because at the end of the day, like, yes, like I'm curious to other people's opinions, kind of. Do you guys consider also like liking girls' photos in bikinis, for example, betrayal or like disrespectful to the least?
I would use the word disrespectful
Right?
more. I
Yes.
don't say it's cheating, and I wouldn't
sure not,
use the word
yes.
betrayal, but it's like, are you doing it so that when we break up, you have like a spare like
Grounds,
that to
right.
go to? Like,
My opinion.
I can't understand why you would do it, right?
It's not a betrayal, it's a boundary. Because if you don't like me posting a bikini picture while we're together, then you shouldn't be liking those of other girls.
This is such a big one. And speaking on like, betrayal in romantic relationships, this was a common thing I had in a previous relationship where I was bullied, told what to wear, what not to wear. If I would post a bikini picture, I would get, trashed out for it, like a whole big fight, name calling, you name it. But then, obviously, to my surprise, I would see his likes on all these models' bikini photos and people I know, my own friends' bikini photos. So that is a massive, like, disrespect, in my opinion. I don't think it's cheating behavior, but it's just like, it does feel like a betrayal because you're
Sexualizing other people while you're with me.
while you're diminishing me and making me feel bad for feeling good in my own body and wearing a bikini, whilst you're off liking every girl's photo.
But he doesn't want you to do that because he
Exactly.
knows how he sees other girls in
It's
bikinis.
insecurity. So I feel like
porn.
Totally.
males with insecurity do tend to betray us as women and disrespect us as women, just as friends do. A female friend, if a female friend is male-centered and insecure, she will betray you at one point or another. It might take 5
Give her
years.
the first chance and she'll take it. Like,
But
she'll
she
feel better
will
than you.
betray you. So it's just a ticking time bomb. You might have a good 5 years of friendship with her, but it's gonna end soon.
And I feel like you can tell that it's based on insecurity because they don't end up together. They just fuck around. And for her, it's like, I got what she had. And for him, it's like, oh, I am that shit, while you're actually not.
Enjoy my leftovers.
Like, and no, by all means, if they actually, and that's what like I felt the most when I had this happen to me for the very first time, because I'm like, do you like him? Are you in love with him or something? I don't know. Do you know when his birthday is? No. It was just, I don't know, I was just drunk. And I'm like, okay. Slay. Okay.
Feel the warmth of connection with the here and now with Myoka Spa experiences and vouchers. Discover more at myoka.com.
Something about the way you bounce makes me want to keep you around my mind. My mind, mind. my mind.
I just feel alive. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I got that lifestyle, I'm fierce as hell. That brand top model, that husky fast throttle. Living it up, you know I don't eat. It said I just feel alive. 'Cause all I got is what I am and I'm on fire. And what you want is what I am, baby, that's fine. What all the kids said, I just feel alive.
So we cannot have a conversation about betrayal without mentioning boundaries, and boundaries have already been mentioned like quite a few times throughout this conversation. So did betrayal teach you anything about boundaries? Because I would say like it's like after the first time that you're bitten, you then take the lessons from the experience, right? And I think boundaries is one of the biggest lessons that you can take, because it makes sure that you won't allow that behavior again, or maybe you won't allow it to go that far. So what can you say about this?
I feel like they constantly change because the more you grow, like the more you grow up, the more like different betrayals start to like appear. For example, friends might, for when you were younger, might betray you in a certain way, but then when you're older, it kind of like is perceived in a different way. You're not
I mean,
serious.
but what kind of friends are those, right? Because I wouldn't imagine. Okay, so I don't use the word friends lightly, so I wouldn't imagine any of my friends going for my boyfriend. I mean, the
That's not
second that
normal,
they
yeah.
do that, bro, they were never a friend, like in the
I
first
know,
place,
I know.
right?
Sure.
No, what I'm saying is, for example, now that it's like summer and like I started going out and all that stuff, when you're out, especially like in Malta, you're kind of like bound to see the same group of people that I feel like I'm close to, even though I'm not. I feel like I'm close to them. And the issue with that is most of the time, the person you're going out with is close to them, or like is semi, let's say, close to them and all that stuff. You start feeling when you're going out that you owe these people loyalty or something because you're always seeing them. They always have drama with like someone. They're seeing someone, going out with someone, all that stuff. That you start feeling like you owe them coffee, like next day or something. And I feel like it's like in Malta, for example, it is so casual now to hook up with who your friend hooked up with.
Fam, it's also there are also not a lot of people, so that's a problem. Like it's like you have to tread around it, right? It's very hard to avoid all of the people that your friends hooked up with,
Exactly.
right? Because we're such a small island.
I know, but that's why I'm saying, because like if you're not actually friends with these people, but you're going out and you're kind of, you know, in the same, let's say, small lounging places as them at the same time, because there's barely anything happening on the island. You know, you kind of like feel like you owe it to them in a certain way. Not that you really do, but as in for me, I feel like I would feel
That's
that
on you.
feel like, let's say a guy, I'm realistic, I'm not really interested in dating and all that stuff. So if a guy came up to me and I knew he was being problematic with another girl that's there, I'm not even gonna like look and all that stuff. But the amount of times I've been out so far since I've been single and not that long, I feel like I've been through like going out, maybe like once every other week or something, through so many conversations where it's like I owe them loyalty and I'm just like, we're not friends. Like, how are we basing this on like going out? And that's why I feel like also betrayal is objective, because let's say for them, because we're always in the same like group setting, but we're not a group. Let's say I went to like a bar and it's like a weekly thing and I'm always going there and all that stuff. I do feel like now that I'm mature and all that stuff, a lot of people are still immature, like in this country. They're still immature and they feel like if someone came up to you and they're talking to you, they will initially come up to you and be like, I'm seeing him. Or I'm like, I'm fucking around with him. And I'm like, okay, good for you. But like if that had to be around, because obviously I have 3 exes, not a lot, they all follow them. And I'm just like, why isn't that like the same way? So why are you coming up to me if we're not legit friends? Like we barely even, not even, I don't even think I follow any of these people.
I think that also comes with like being in the public eye and people think that they know you and they like
The
actually
mentality.
don't.
No, I feel like some girls, especially the girls who actually would go over that line of betrayal, they feel like they have to be eyeing you because they would. So them knowing that the second they like someone that might be with you, even might be actually in a relationship with you, and they like them, they will still follow them. Like, for example, when I was in a relationship, he had a private account. The amount of girls that knew me and would reply to my stories, simping, legit, simping, and would follow him and would like, I'm not joking, and would follow him, even smiling at him, even like hugging him, not even knowing him, and telling him, she's so pretty and all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, she said you're so pretty, Dawn. I'm like,
Yeah, that's like the kind of do you have something to say?
No, because I can't say too much at this point.
no, but it's
I've
true.
had only one relationship, so it's
No,
very
but it's,
dark.
I always had this issue like
Yeah.
prior to social media. Like I always had this issue. No, I don't post. Like not even if a guy had to pay. Actually, if it's a paid ad, he will be on my stories. If it's not, he's not going to be there. He's not
I
going to
feel
be
like
there.
it is a Maltese thing, though.
It is a Maltese
I
thing.
even tell my brother, I'm like, dude, watch out who you go with. They're either my best friends or my cousins. Like, you have to be
Exactly.
careful in this space. And it's like, it is really like territorial to a point where it's like unhealthy, I feel like, on this island. Like, I am scared to go with someone. There are people I haven't even been with, and I'm just like apparently like rumored to have gone
I
with.
was going to say that. I was going to say
It's
that.
insane. It's like, what kind of sicko stuff is this? Like,
But
what
they do that. I'm not joking. The amount of
is this,
people-
like a trophy or something? Just saying you've been with me when you haven't been with me, and it's kind of the fact that even happens when you haven't even gone with people. Imagine going with people, like, and then having your personal life be spread around as gossip or as if like some sort of achievement.
But they want to slut shame you to devalue you.
Of course, it's like it's anything for a little gossip, but it's like in this country, I feel like you have to be really careful with kind of showcasing your personal life. Unfortunately, it's like you have to be careful because these are the type of people that are around, and it's whether it's
Please note, I barely
culture
posted him. Just
thing.
saying, like which was mutual, like a mutual agreement of ours. But I barely posted him. Like maybe Valentine's, birthdays. That's it. But obviously, people knew who he was, and they would follow him, speak to him when he's out. Like, oh, Salila and Sarah, and I'm like, I don't even know you.
So I see two main issues here, right? I can't say I've gone through this because, as I said, like if someone is being called my friend, it means that they have undergone the test of time, the
Same.
test of so many tests.
right.
So the girls are a problem, right? These women are not at all like girls, like at all. Like if you see a woman with a man and your first thought is like, how am I gonna steal the man from her? There's something wrong with you. But then there's also something wrong with the guys, right? Because a guy who is happily in a relationship would shut off any type of attention from any woman at the first moment. So, but Sarah, I was seeing you like nodding your head a bit at times. And do you have something you want to add to this?
I definitely feel that like men struggle a bit with understanding crossing of boundaries when it comes to women. And this is what you mentioned, for example, oh, she called you pretty and all that. But men don't realize that when a girl goes up to them and like compliments the girlfriend, it's kind of like a bit of a dig.
Yes.
You know?
Especially after trying to get a free drink.
Exactly.
Yes.
However, yes, I've experienced, unfortunately, a friend, basically trying to get at my own boyfriend, who I'm happily in love with at the moment. It stung, but then that just, it just showed me what type of person she is and how the friendship literally meant nothing. Because if I really had some value to you and our friendship actually had value, you would not pull this stuff with me. And if you actually felt any feelings towards my own man, you would confront me about it and you would say like, listen, this is what's going on. I'm sorry, I shouldn't feel this way, but like, I'm going to get through it. I'm going to take space, whatever. But, no respect was there, no respect was present, not even after a confrontation. So
She just
No.
wanted to have what you have.
exactly, like instead of being happy and, celebrating my wins, because I've had a bout of being single for like 3 years before that. So, it's been a long time coming, finding a healthy relationship. But yeah, basically, when you're doing well in life, watch out for the people who applaud you and watch out for the people who suddenly
Exactly.
go silent, because
Yeah.
those people were never really your friends. And as I said before, it's just a ticking time bomb until they betray you in some sort of way.
Yeah.
Not to mention that there are minor, like small betrayals along the way. I mean, I'd be so happy about something, and the moment I'd, communicate this to a friend,
Downplay it.
just, negative, or like, can't say the same for me.
No.
People's
Jesus.
reactions to your good news says a lot
Lot.
about them. And I've been going through this over the last few months. Like there came a time where I just kind of started to feel annoying because I had a lot of like good things going for me. And I started to feel annoying, man. I started to feel like I'm annoying the people around me. It's like, oh my God, she's coming with another good news. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, and when you start to notice, like close friends, they either
Getting
change the subject,
uncomfortable.
they ignore you, ignore your messages, or just not say anything, or else they downplay it,
not
or then
even
the
like
actual
your
thing is
story.
happening. Girl, don't get me started about that. Like nothing, like nothing.
Please,
And then you
support me
get
a
these
bit.
like total strangers or like your real friends, because I do think that
Yes.
these situations show you who your real friends are.
Exactly.
And then you're like, okay, if you are supporting me like this and they are supporting me like this, then that starts to show you what the real support is like, right? Sometimes you need to kind of, it takes time to find the people that really want the best for you, to realize that the people you thought wanted the best for you didn't actually want it at all.
No.
But these are all learning curves, right? I mean,
For my friendships, I feel like I've learned along the years that the most important thing, like the basis of our friendship, has to be like obviously them being genuine and loyal is obviously good traits to have, and honesty and not lying. But if a person truly, truly loves you and wishes you well, I feel like that literally just like affects every little factor following in the relationship. Like you were talking about, you said you were feeling uncomfortable talking about your wins and your achievements. Like there was a point as well, like I kind of been through this lately. I just came out of a breakup, so obviously I was in quite a vulnerable position a couple months ago, and it's like now I'm starting to flourish again and get be happy and be myself, and I'm starting to date other guys and stuff, and I'm just so happy to just like talk about it with my friends. I'm like, I want to tell them all about my stories, and I mean this is my first time being single in a while, so I'm just like so excited to talk about it, and it kills me and breaks my heart when I kind of get that sense from my friends that they're just like either they're not really willing to hear, or they're just like I'm like boring them, or I'm talking too much. And it's really sad because it makes me start thinking about myself and like, oh my gosh, am I like trying to like, I don't know,
no, it
come
says
off as
more about
bitchy,
them than
or, like,
about you.
right? Like, am I boasting? Like, and it's like
Right?
I'm really not. I'm
that's
just
why-
like, why would I want to boast to my best friends? Like, I just want you guys to be happy, or just as much, like just as happy as I am.
Yeah, and the genuine people will be happy for you
Exactly.
without you needing to ask for it.
Right.
Like
That's why
it's
it's important.
it's
to
simple,
select
like
them all.
And I feel like that is like one of the biggest things I've seen along the years is like there are going to be things I like about you and things I don't like about you. It's impossible to find a friend where you like everything about her or you don't like everything about her. Like it's impossible to find a perfect match. It's impossible. Like it is in a relationship. But I feel like one of the most important things is like regardless of the type of person you are or our differences, if we meet in the middle and we meet at the same agreement that the basis of this relationship is built on the foundation of wishing you well or really wanting the best or really wanting to see you grow or making you grow as a person. Also, I think one big thing I live by is surround yourself by people you want to be like, that make you want to better yourself. And yeah, because I've been in relationships and friendships where I just like, I look at the person, I'm like, oh gosh, I really hope she doesn't
like this.
influence me in that way. I really hope I don't get this from her because I would hate to be that type of person. And it's again, I think this is one of my boundaries. It's, do I want to be that type of person? Do I want to let her influence me in that way? Because if I contradict her, she's gonna take that as an attack to her personality. So like, let's say if she's a jealous person and she's kind of belittling another girl or making just like her jealousy is just like mean to another girl or someone she's
You have to
intimidated by.
minimize
Like if I go against that, like there's a fine line where I can go against that and not support her, you know what I mean? So it's like, how can I deal with this in a way that I don't want to be like you. I don't want to talk mean about this other girl. I don't want to feed this jealousy and this envy you have for this other girl just because you're intimidated of her or you're jealous of her. But the same way, how can I support her and be her friend, you know? And it's kind of like that fine line which I had to learn along the years, to be like, listen, I can't be surrounded by you. And it's these little things where they're not massive conflicts in my relationships. Like, I don't think I've had maybe 3 big fights amongst friends, or big reasons to like just cut off everything drastically because they were like surprises to me. But I had many little small things along the way, which were like things were like this, which was like, I don't want to be that type of person. I can't surround myself by you. I can't surround myself by these type of negative and just negative behaviors. I don't have anything to do with them. And it's hard because at the end of the day, you don't have a specific reason. And it's like, how are you going to come to tell the person, I can't be your friend anymore because you're just a bitch or you're just mean, or it's just, I don't want to become like you, because you spend so much time around your friends. They're like your home. They're like, there's like, how can you explain that to someone without distancing yourself from them and staying in a friendship, you know? So it's like, those are one of the biggest things, which in the future, that's my boundary. I don't want to be surrounded by myself. I don't want to be your friend if I don't think who you are wants me to be a better person.
Or reflects who you are.
Like my friends, my really close friends, I look up to them as idols. Like right now, those are my really close friends. Like it's a couple I can count on my fingers. I trust them with everything I have. But for me, like opening and like ranting and talking about my feelings hasn't necessarily been the deciding factor in my friendships. Like I have friends who I can feel, I feel good talking about my experiences with, but it's only those friendships, those 5 friendships I have, or maybe less, whatever, those I can count on my fingers, which I'm like, I want to be like you. You make me want to be a better person. And I just admire you and adore you. And it's like, I love them fully and I love who they are, and I want to surround myself by them for the rest of my life, you know? And it's like, I feel like that's like such a big deciding factor for me. And it's also the reason why you don't have to have many friends, because it's like, if you have those couple, you're good to go. Like,
and you have to be selective, but good selective.
For sure. And
I feel like when, for example, I'm going to like mention something very, I have had friends in the past where, for example, they're comfortable with going for taking guys. And that for me was like a default setting in me never to do. Even if I love the guy, whatever, or like admire or really like, no. For me, I'm that type of friend that if I know my friend likes someone, boom, instantly, I don't like the guy. He's already like a brother to me. And I have brothers, would never touch them. So no, to like solidify, because you know how like a lot of girls go like, oh, he's like a brother to me, but they're like getting with them.
Yeah.
So like I'm solidifying the fact. No, but
you made me have to imagine that for a second, and I don't like that.
No, but like
my brother watching this is gonna be like,
you have to, because like what I mean is like a real brother, not like, oh, he's like a bro and like you're actually getting with them. And I felt like when I was friends with these type of people, it kind of, and even people who love to gossip about other girls, love to body shame other girls and all that stuff, it made me feel, although I wasn't participating, it still made me feel evil. Like as in like, oh, I'm friends with her, but she contradicts everything I believe in, but I'm friends with her. So that comes to show what a people pleaser I was. But moving on to now, I know that like these type of friends, I avoid at all costs. And I have friends now that would be like, Masa, she's actually nice. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. She doesn't reflect me. I'm like, if I'm walking along someone, I want them to be like, she's a good person then. She has morals then. She has this. If I'm next to someone who legit goes against everything I say,
Mhm.
then it's not a good friendship. Like,
Mhm.
this friendship is going to go south at any point in time. Because if she feels comfortable doing all this body shaming about other people and all that stuff, what makes me think, which that was me being naive, what makes me think that she's not doing this
To you.
to me?
So this is almost like spotting the red flags, right? And I wanted to
Exactly.
ask you about this, like now, like from this point that you're standing at, how do you spot the red flags when
Energy.
you're embarking on a new relationship, a new friendship?
I feel like for me, knowing if a friend is genuine or not is solemnly based on their energy. Because obviously, a lot of people go through a lot of things in life that shifts them. And when you see the good in them, like the good potential in them, you might kind of deceive yourself as well that they might be good people. Like some people might have like 2 good days. They might
Yeah.
be good friends for those 2 days. But then on that one day, they might fuck up the whole friendship because that's who they are in the core.
Mhm.
And I feel like, because when you kind of have like a friendship breakup, people say, so you thought about that?
But it's so much more than that. It's
And
like
you-
an accumulation of everything. It's
And you're
always an
like,
accumulation.
No, it's you going against what I believe our friendship is.
And it's also the way that they deal with the conflict, right? A lot of friendships don't end because of that one thing that happened. They end because of what comes after. And what comes after normally is like
How they deal with it.
Dismissal.
Exactly.
And complete dismissal too.
Yes.
Say you confront the person for their behavior and what you felt, and they completely dismiss you or not even give you the time of day. That's just a clear indication that, it meant nothing.
They don't want to take accountability for
Exactly.
it.
No accountability. Like I am so ready. Like I'm not always right. I'm so ready to take accountability if I'm wrong or if I've done a mistake with someone or if I've been, maybe disrespect or whatever. I take accountability and I apologize. But being so far down your values or what you think are your values to not recognize when you've done something wrong is, I don't know.
Yeah. So do you ever feel like you betrayed yourself to keep the peace with someone?
Yes.
100%.
Definitely.
100%. Both relationships with romantically and friendships. And it's hard, it's a pity because in the moment you won't realize. And then looking back, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so mad at myself. Like I'm so mad at myself for letting this happen to me. Because, for example, my first serious relationship, I went in a relationship. I didn't really have any serious relationships beforehand. So I was single for most of my life. And I was such a confident girl. And more so, I was just confident in myself and my worth. And I would never question, am I enough? Or is something wrong with me? Or am I not deserving of love? And unfortunately, there were things along the line which happened, which... And this wasn't necessarily my partner's fault, but there were things that were happening that I was allowing to happen to myself, which were against what I expect and what I need from a relationship, which I let happen. So they were past my boundaries. My boundaries weren't up. They were like, I had those rose-colored glasses on, and they were just like, I love you, I love you, I love you. I will let this happen. I see the good in you all the time. What you can do, I know does not have bad intentions. I was just so overly understanding of this person that I lost sight of myself, and I lost sight of any type of boundaries I had. And it was like, is that kind of conversation where would you allow your friend to let something like that happen to her.
Like to put up with
Right.
that, right?
And after it happened, and I was kind of looking back at the relationship, processing some certain things. I'm like, and I'm very thankful I didn't have a very toxic relationship, but there were small things which nowadays I would not allow. And more so, would I not allow, I would not let break me down. Because now, when I came out of the relationship, obviously I was at a very low point. My first heartbreak, I was crushed. I left the relationship feeling like I'm not enough. And I was not that same girl who entered the relationship. It took me a while, and I'm still kind of like dealing with it now. And I'm in the process of learning a lot about myself and about what I want in my next relationship. And even not just romantically, even with friendships. I learned a lot about myself. Like, one of the biggest things I was doing was I was accommodating my partner so much, and I was willing to move countries. I was willing to do so much. I was willing to move countries for this guy, and this guy wasn't even sure he can move cities in the following year to be next to me. And again, it's like things like this where I would just try so hard to be empathetic with or understanding with. And I'm like, okay, maybe it's because, he can find better jobs elsewhere. But I'm like, gosh, you're going to have to give some stuff up. I'm willing to give my whole family up, my whole home up. I'm willing to move a whole continent for you. Why is that something you want to reciprocate? And it's like, again, I don't think it's necessarily something I should be angry at him for, but more so angry at me for, because this is what I want. It may not necessarily, it may not necessarily be what he's looking for, but I know for a fact this is what I'm looking for. And I let myself overlook those things because I was so in love, and coming out of it, I was very angry at myself for that. But I learned so much about myself now. And yes, unfortunately, I did come out of it being a bit less confident in who I am, and I wasn't I now I'm a bit like, oh, am I good enough? Or not now I'm a bit better, but before, when I first came out of it, I was like questioning myself, am I good enough? Like, was he out of my league? Or like questions I would never ask myself a couple years ago. And it made me so angry, even more angry. It's like all was a spiral of just like being angry at myself, angry at him, and it's just like, oh gosh, I hate feeling this way. But it's like, I realize so many things now, which I'm like, going forward, oh gosh, like I'm never gonna accommodate myself so much to a person who's not even willing to meet me halfway.
Yeah.
And
I mean, compromise is a two-way street, right?
Sure.
It can't come from one person.
Exactly.
And if you see, for example, if you see your sacrifices, they're not even sacrifices, if you see these efforts at costing of other factors in your life, then get out of the relationship. You're not supposed to be in it, because they should not be at cost of other things in your life. They should be a bonus to other things in your life. Like, you can't tell me spending more time with me is going to be at the cost of something else in your life. If you're truly in love with a person and you want to make it work, you make it work. No
And you're not going to see it as a cost.
Because then the cost is going to be
something you want to.
The cost is going to be when you don't have that person involved in your life anymore, and you're never going to meet anyone else like that again who's going to be able to fill that void that person left for you. And that's going to be the cost. And it's going to be a greater cost than the cost would have been if you would have just put a bit more effort in the relationship. So yes, long story short, I feel like I've learned a lot for sure, and it's definitely I have more boundaries now, but it's like not letting my emotions overlook them and take over those boundaries, because I'm a very emotional person. When I love someone, I love them wholeheartedly, and it does, unfortunately, now I'm learning as a person, it does overlook a bunch of things which it shouldn't. So it's not becoming more cold or more closed up,
More
or
strategic.
like, or it's just being a bit more mindful and just being a bit smarter as I go forward.
But on this that you just said, actually, one of my questions was based on this, on like this, like becoming cold, right? Because oftentimes when we've been bitten, we're going to set boundaries, and these boundaries are probably going to close us off. So how do you find the delicate balance between setting these boundaries and also not closing your heart off to something new, whether it is with friends or whether it is with a new relationship?
I think the best way to do that is, be as genuine and as authentic as you can, because naturally you'll attract your tribe, but also bugs are attracted to the light. So never give too much information about yourself and about, the intricacies of your life, especially if you've just met someone, be it a girl or a guy you want to be in a relationship with. So be careful. And, with the fine-tuned radar you now have because of all the experiences you've been through, you can suss out like anything suspicious and anything that doesn't sit right with you, and go off on what you feel as well. Like we all know, like there have been times in relationships and also friendships where your gut told you like that didn't sit right with me, but you just ignored it. So now you can't ignore it, because then you're just betraying yourself. And
That's
It's
when
something
I
like
know
that.
not to be cold, because I would feel it. I would feel with the person if this person has my vibe or if this person doesn't have my vibe. But when it comes to like a relationship, I feel like I do have to indulge in the conversation of how was your childhood, how was like your previous relationships and all that stuff, because that's going to save me so much future heartbreak, future arguments and all that stuff. I betrayed myself throughout like my previous relationships and friendships. The second I knew, my intuition was telling me, these are not your people. This is not right. This is wrong. This doesn't align with your values. And I'm still going with the flow with them. For example, my previous relationship, I realized in a certain point in time that he was going here and I was going along with him, but my life was legit pulling me in this direction and I was still going with that flow. I was legit not even focusing on my job, focusing on trying to be a better partner, because I was lacking in being a better partner, because we were having a lot of arguments about these things. And I felt like I was betraying myself because I wasn't being my true self, because I was shrinking what I really am like bubbly, friendly, all this stuff. And I wasn't doing any of that because I was going into this direction. I was not going into the direction I was meant to be. And I kept flowing. And I'm like, how long am I going to keep flowing for? Because at a point in time, I'm just not going to be myself anymore. So I feel like for me, that was a betrayal, like for myself. And with friendships is allowing myself to keep going back and forgiving a friend that kept doing the same things over and over and over again, because I saw the potential in those good days where she felt like she was a good friend. Like the days where, for example, I don't know, I was scared that my cat is going to die. And she's like, oh, your cat is okay, don't worry. So in my head, I was like highlighting, oh, yeah, she's a good friend. Like she listens to these things and all that stuff. But then she does 10,000 other horrible things. So I feel like I was betraying myself and I was focusing on the potential of every single person in my life rather for what I was seeing in front of me. So that's where I feel like I was betraying myself.
Yeah, and I feel like we've done like a 180 on that message, right? Because we
know.
mentioned it right at the beginning.
I know.
So I am going to start kind of closing slowly. So I'm going to ask you if there is one piece of advice that you would give to every young woman watching this when it comes to betrayal. What would your message be?
I would say to prioritize loving yourself. I think we sometimes get so caught up in like our relationships, be it romantic or friendships, that we don't take a moment to like take a step back and look at things from like an outsider's perspective and from within, look at things from within. Follow your gut always. And yeah, just love yourself, because naturally if you love yourself and you try to fix yourself and better yourself in every way possible, you would naturally attract people who want the best for you. So that would be my piece of advice.
Same thing. I would say like same thing, and also not being naive, walking into everything with the thought of good and bad and not just good. And also to just flow throughout relationships and friendships and not taking everything so seriously, and to also not prioritize those things over yourself, because that's not just life.
You can't fill from an empty cup.
Yeah.
I feel like mine would be to embrace the betrayal, embrace everything, embrace the good, embrace the bad you took from it, embrace the emotions, because they are who shape you up as a person right now. And like I saw something a while ago, it's like the soul purpose of life is to experience, and it's like we need to experience these type of things to value the good, to value our good friendships, our good relationships, and I think, and also another thing is when putting boundaries. I wanted to touch on this a bit before. I think it's so important not to lose yourself though, because I feel like there's a fine line between building boundaries and staying true to yourself and who you are, and just like making it important not to lose sight of who you are in terms of like still being bubbly and not turning cold, because I think turning cold in a sense is you're letting your betrayals take over and you're letting them win, and it's like why would you let them do that to you? So as I see it, and as my experience, what I've taken from my experiences is I think what I have is a gift. And I think like the things which made me too good, or maybe I love too much, I think these are just like, they're not things that you should be ashamed of, or you should have to do less. Or, it's unfortunate that we have to like shape ourselves to kind of survive our surrounding environment.
Boundaries should just push away the wrong people.
Right. You shouldn't have to turn cold, or you shouldn't have to love less, or not see the good in people. Like, be yourself. Like, that's your gift. Like, embrace it. Like,
Exactly.
I love too much. Yeah, fuck it. I love too much. I see the good in people. Fuck it. I see the good in people. Am I going to be betrayed? Yes. I mean, but I shouldn't have to turn cold because of it. And I feel like that just like lets them win. And I don't think I can't let it happen, because you will just like lose your gifts. And that's something I like to be proud of,
I love that.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on this. Like, I have gotten betrayed so many times in my life, and yet when the next person comes, I am going to give you my heart fully.
Again.
I will see what you will do with it, and then I will assess. And if I need to cut you out, I will cut you out.
Exactly. You
Like,
need to
you're
meet
respecting
someone.
yourself. You're respecting
Right.
yourself, that if they fuck up like the other people, you'll just go with your instinct and cut it off. Like, you don't have to reshift yourself into a completely different person. You just remain your true authentic self.
Yeah.
And if that person does the first initial red flag, you just exit.
Yeah.
Not like with the other people. You just allow them to keep running over you.
I think finding the strength to walk away is easier said than done, right?
But that's like all three points together.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
you learn how to like love yourself
Right,
and
it's when you love
prioritize that.
yourself. Yeah.
Exactly.
Naturally, I think when you love yourself, that is when you reach a
Exactly.
point of being able to walk away when you know something isn't right for you.
You become more
So
strategic.
that's why my word of advice to any young woman watching this show is to just prioritize yourself, put yourself first. It's not selfish. You might get called selfish for doing that, but putting yourself first naturally is going to put people who are meant to be in your life in a better position to
And
meet
the
you.
love
And it's
you
the
seek
most
in
selfless thing you
others.
can do.
Exactly.
It is the most
So
selfless thing you can do.
it's actually selfless, not selfish to love yourself. So
Exactly. And the love you seek in others, you need to
Exactly.
give it to yourself.
you get what you give.
Yeah.
And you don't expect less.
Yeah.
You need more.
Exactly.
In quotes now.
It's true.
No,
True
but
though.
it's
It's
true.
like it's what you get out of your experiences. I can't expect less. I'm gonna expect what I want and what I,
I did
expect.
see it
And
on
what you
somewhere,
deserve.
though.
Right. And
So I
that's
think
that.
we've dropped like a lot of like of these little like golden
Because
nuggets.
the way you want to be loved is the way you should love yourself. The other person is not going to love you the way you want them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They will only love you the way they think they can love you
Yeah.
and how they're thought of loving. They're not going to change that.
Mm-hmm.
They will try.
So this is definitely for another conversation, but I do think that there's so many to be said, especially there's so much to be said
Sorry. Repeat
when
that,
it
'cause I
comes.
went,
Yes. So I think throughout this conversation, there are a lot of moments which can really help young women to navigate womanhood and to navigate these situations. And I would like to thank you all for joining me for this conversation today. And so this is the She Word. This is the conversations that we have. And I will see you during the next show.